Hello there and welcome. In this video, I got you a tier list of the 10 clans of Monster Train 2. I did this list with 2 points in my vision. For one, how easy is it to understand the clan and get them going so they can strike hard? And the other thing is, how well do they operate in a Covenant 10 environment? Because these two things were for me the best metrics. Obviously, this is a subjective list. We all play differently, we all have different favors and such things, therefore your mileage may vary. But I really hope that this video will be helpful and or entertaining. So, that being said, let's get started with number 1. Let's talk Banished. I have put these on a solid B rating. This isn't too high, but in all honesty, they have a couple of problems that I never managed to rule out properly. That being one, they're quite slow to start, because Valor is a really nice mechanic that makes a really good defensive layer, but it comes time delayed. So the first turn, tanking is always worst, and it happens with these guys quite easily to lose your centerpiece of your defensive structure quite quickly because the Valor didn't stack up fast enough, and you also are pretty vulnerable to backline attacks via sweeping, because you have only Cleave as a direct way of damaging enemies, which is a great spell. I don't want to badmouth it, but beyond that, we can only move problematic elements on the enemy formation into the front to kill them. But if the enemy is attacking our backline, that doesn't resolve the problem. We only have one source of quick, the upbeat Warbler, and we don't have any native source of sweep. Basically, Cleave is our only sweep that we got. It's a badass high power sweep, but you have to draw it. It is not available every turn due to that, unless you modded it. In short, as really crazy powerful the Banished were in all of my longer runs, they always had that issue that they were a little bit harder to set up because their early phase is very brittle, and they always were quite vulnerable to later stages of the game where the enemy loves to sweep and do AoE corruption and stuff like that, which I found harder than usual to defend from. But apart from that, when these guys are rocking and rolling and doing their thing, they're nigh unstoppable, which is a really fun part. But I found them pretty hard to get going in the Covenant 10 environment, hence the B rating. And before we go forth, I have nothing lower ranked than C in this list because this game is well balanced and D and E and F rating were really not necessary. But let's move on to number 2, the Pyreborn. These guys are sitting for me on an A rating. Two things. For one, what separates them from the S rating is their lack of survivability. That is really the only reason. They are one hell of a damage package, but they have almost nothing to keep themselves alive in this. But what they do so gosh darn well. Pyagil is a status that is always useful. It's a jack of all trades thing because hurting enemies is always necessary. We have gold management, which is crazily powerful, which could easily push them to the S tier, but I only gave S tier to the factions where I felt like they can easily win the game all on their own, and the Pyreborn just didn't scratch that box for me because of how easy it is to kill them. But beyond that, yeah, you can explode enemies, you can set up sick combos, you have AoE, you have gold management, you have brutally strong creatures, you have more artifacts than anybody else, you have sacrifice strategies. This faction is one of my favorites, and their lack of defenses is really the only thing that I found as a weakness on them. Beyond that, they combo really well with everybody due to the sheer usefulness of damage amplification, or gold generation. You know, everybody loves gold generation. You just need to put in where's that fun room? They have that fun room that generates gold when something dies here. Sacrificial chamber. It ain't even rare. This thing can really easily bloat up your wallet super quickly. To some degree, the longer I hear myself talking, I feel like they should be S rating, but I gotta say, defenses are a very, very valuable and powerful thing in this game. And they have a lack of utility. If the only solution to a problem is to kill it, well, this can be sometimes not really working out. Moving on to number 3, the Lunar Coven. These I with a heavy heart put onto B rating. I wanted to give them the A rating because they got so much going on for themselves, but they have, as the only faction where I say that, truly antagonistic mechanics, where it can be really against you when you try to bring in the Silent and the Selene troops, the Full Moon and New Moon troops together. This can sometimes conflict in a way that you almost can't really operate well. Same goes for the spells. They usually have a tendency that you want to focus on one moon cycle. Surely, we can make a lot of magic work with the Eclipse Chamber, which is their Joker card, but if you don't draw that, you are nailed down to one side of the moon cycle, or your build will be really, really toppling on itself over all time. I tried it several times, and yeah, this is an innate problem. But enough about the problem, let's talk about the good things. These guys have some of the greatest versatility in the game that I've ever seen, beyond of their internal rivalries, so to speak. Each of their branches is really much more powerful than other variants of the other clans. So the New Moon thingies, they do their combat thing much better than most other combat factions, and the Full Moon faction, they do their spellcasting thing very, very powerfully. Don't underestimate Mageblade in this scenario. Mageblade is 3 points of... This item gives you 3 points of attack per conduit stack, and this faction is basically printing conduit stacks. So altogether, you have high damage, high utility, high healing power, and really strong troops, but it's all so easy to mess yourself over with either bad luck with the draft, or you just don't draw the card that you need for the current moon cycle and or such. I really have ran into a lot of build and draft issues that I haven't had with other clans, hence the B rating. But again, when you get the system rolling, when the draft is good for you, these guys are really a lot of fun to play. It's just a little bit harder to set them up than others. Moving on to number 4, the Underlegion. Clear S rating for me. They are well-rounded. They have everything you could wish for. Strong troops, AoE coverage. Sure, it's time delayed, but you can spread so much decay, and you have so many throwaway troops, strong tanks. It doesn't really matter. You have excess. You even have direct damage in form of rot and racking pain. You have really some of the best direct damage in the game. Your only real problem is that you can't do it all at once. You need to focus on one strategy. Sort of a similar problem like the Lunar Coven, but with less antagonistic problems in itself. Altogether, they pair up so nicely with others, and, well, what can I say? The victories that I got, they always felt so easy when the Underlegion was involved, in all honesty, and I really felt like these guys are very easy to understand, very powerful to facilitate, and somehow the stuff they do fits into almost any build that I regularly play. Number 5, the Lazarus League, and these are the next S rating. This might be a flavored thing, but I personally think that these guys have too many game-breaking combos that are easily available to rank them anywhere else. Because the thing is, just take the test subject alpha and put a twisted back on it. You have a room-attacking, quick thing that grows stronger whenever it hits somebody, and that's just a little thing. We can reanimate, we can do so many crazy things that simply kind of like break the laws of the game. If you use Underlegion plus Lazarus League, you will notice that you can multiply stacks that should be multiplied, for example. You have plentiful access to AoE, and Unstable is one hell of a debuff. The only downside that remains with these guys is that they are pretty fragile, but they are fragile on purpose. They have so many mechanics to facilitate that fragility again that I wasn't able to downrate it there again. So, on top of that, the parts of this faction work very well for other people too. I don't know, maybe it is a personal bias, but I find them crazy strong whenever I play them. Number 6, the Hellhorned. One of the very few C ratings in this video, but I feel like these guys are somehow and forgive me if I say that, just a worse version of the Banished. They have so many things that are similar to the Banished. The only thing that is really working out better than Rage and Armor compared to Valor. I personally think that Valor is just a better Rage and Armor mechanic, but that's maybe me. I love Imps. To put something positive on the list, the Imps are amazing. You have such a nice variety of sacrificial strategies on your hand. It's really cool. Apart from that, they aren't bad at all. I just find them very hard to get them survivable because everything on their list is either costly, brittle, or relies stupidly on armor that you first need to pick up and build up, or is rare. I don't know. I feel like these guys have a good game theory going, but the other clans just get it going more well-rounded. Doesn't mean that I find that they are weak or anything. I just had more trouble getting them going than other people, and the only combination that I really got working for Covenant 10 for myself was so far Imp strategies. I think this is a player issue though, so don't get me wrong here. Moving on over to the Awoken, which sit for me on an A rating. They are not quite the S rating, but they have so many good things going on for themselves. For one, I found them extremely easy to pick up and understand. Healing and tanking and buffing, heck, what's not to grasp about that? The really cool thing there is strong creatures and such are always a nice thing to play, and it combos very, very well with any other faction as well. Therefore, I really like these guys. The major downside, separating them from the S tier for me personally, is just that they lack a certain strategical versatility. There are a couple of things that we can do, but for example, except for sweeping creatures, you have a really hard time getting into the enemy backline. That's one thing. You can't really move enemies. You can't hold them though, which is similar like moving, but altogether, I found that it is very easy to draft yourself into a problematic situation that you can't move yourself out of if you haven't foreplanned it due to the stiffness of their strategical versatility. That broke a couple of runs for me when I suddenly realized that there were problems sitting in the enemy backline that I weren't prepared for, that I usually could break with other tools, but these guys just didn't have them. Player issue, but also a problem of the draft and a problem of availability. Number 8, the Stygian Guard. These are the other C rating that I did there. Here, I find them just way too combo and spell reliant to be sitting higher on that. You have to go for certain combinations with this faction that sadly get countered by the monsters in the game quite hard. Their bias to incantations, there's so many incant enemies that can really mess up your day that you have here a natural weakness towards the enemies that you are up against. I really found that highly problematic, but if you are able to blast away the incanters, you're pretty golden. The thing about these guys is nobody in the game has sicker burst spell combos than these, and they really thrive whenever they get to use that incantation scheme. So if you get a method to destroy enemy incanters, you basically are ruling the battlefield though. Their Achilles heel is a quite severe one, but beyond that, they are really powerful with lots of solutions at their hand. Super powerful creatures that only grow more powerful the more you cast. It's fun, but the draft can let you down, at least in my experiences. And yeah, incanters are something I am either too stupid to handle, or they are really a bit of a problem for these guys. Can't decide. Maybe a little bit of both. Now, number 9, the Umbra. The Umbra is sitting for me on a solid B rating. They are very strong in what they do. Morsels make super crazy strong creatures, and the Gorgers that you got are even crazier creatures once they are fed. The only problem behind all that, it's relatively slow. Their access to damage shield as a buff doesn't come as a coincidence. It is that one mechanic which allows you to survive the early impact to feed these bad boys up. This is just slowness by definition. The real cool thing about them, and why I didn't put them onto C or anything, is the fact that they got a amazing plethora of tools. They can descend entire floors. They have so powerful damage spells and applications of damage shield, crazy creatures that once they are going are amazingly powerful. But you gotta get there. And since speed matters a lot in higher Covenant runs, I had always a little bit of a hard time surviving up until the later stages, into the later stages of the game. Usually, many of my Umbra related runs failed in the last two stages when I was basically able to survive the enemies but not able to kill them because I didn't get the damage potential quickly up. They don't have any debuffs that increase any damage or anything like that. Just crazy growing critters that are hard to kill. Can be a problem, but due to all the ember management that you got and floor size manipulation that you can do, it all works out. I just found it clunkier and harder to pull off, and most importantly, harder to understand. And last on the list, number 10, the Melting Remnant. These guys are sitting on an A rating for me. I almost put them on an S rating, but then I realized they're not that powerful. But the thing is, their internal mechanics are crazy strong. The Tomb units with their Extinguish mechanic and the Wickless with their Harvest mechanic are a crazy synergy. Everything in this faction is meant to die, and you have a lot of momentum gain of things that die for you. And therefore, this combos up super nicely into something that is obnoxiously hard to kill. And, you know, the other day I had a build that managed to get itself 99 stealth stacks on the Molten Encasement when combining it with Lazarus League's Reanimate. This is... The bosses had to survive 99 turns of my whacking before they get to act per floor, because the thing is endless. Anyways, you have options that go so crazy. The Wickless Baron and the Wickless Tycoon are mighty because they got, again, something that usually only the Pyreborn got, gold generation. And gold is such a momentum gainer. It is crazy. You also have abilities that benefit from unit death quite strongly, and altogether, the only downside that I found for these guys, why I didn't rate them S, is they lack a little bit of damage and speed. They need to rack up their speed by death. That's the only way how they go faster. Most of their momentum-based things, like the Wickless Baron or Memento Mori, they're all scaling by the amount of deaths that have happened. They have to happen to get that damage up. And here again, sometimes in the higher Covenant runs, I had the issue that not enough damage was coming on up to kill off the enemies in time before the boss even came. But the real thing that I love about these guys is that they got such interesting and powerful utility things. They got plentiful access to daze and things like mortal entrapment. I had that the other day with double stack and holdover. I was able to completely turn off the enemy boss with that by just stacking daze stacks like a madman on that thing. There are things with this faction that are feeling very cheaty and game-breaking, and that's the A rating behind them. They're basically the predecessor of the Lazarus League somehow, I feel, and I love both of them. So, here you have it. That is my personal opinion of the factions. I'm pretty sure that we will have some things to discuss about, and I'm all ears to hear your standpoint, why you see things differently, because I might have already played this game 100 hours or so, but I see that there's so much to learn, and I love the depth, and I like to learn new things about this game too, so leave a like, leave your comment, leave a subscribe, consider donating, and feel free to support the channel in any way you see fit. A big thanks to all of you who do, and a big thanks to you for watching this video up until the very end. See you next time.